Welcome back to another video. It's your favorite math professor here, Dr. Tarcia Hubert. And in this video, we are going to talk about how to multiply polynomials. Now, if you've been going in order of the videos, then previously we talked about what exactly is a polynomial. The prefix poly means many, and the last part nomial means terms. So a polynomial is just basically something with many terms. And remember that terms are separated by plus and minus signs, all right? So we're going to talk about how to multiply polynomials, and we're going to start off with just a generic monomial, which is one term, times a monomial, all right? And I say generic because it doesn't have any numbers in it. It has letters, all right? This is ax to the n times bx to the m, where a represents a coefficient, and n represents an exponent, and x is a variable. B represents a coefficient, x again is the variable, and m is the exponent. So when you multiply two monomials, then what you do is you multiply the numbers, the coefficients. So you'll multiply the a and the b, and then you combine the variables by adding the exponent. So you'll add the n and the m. So what you'll do is you'll multiply the a and the b, you'll combine the exponent, the x, the variables by adding the exponents. So you'll add those two exponents together, okay? That's in general. Let's look at some examples to see how that looks. Okay, in this first example, we're going to multiply 2x times 3x squared plus 5x plus 4. All right, this is a monomial, one term, times a trinomial, which is three terms, all righty? And because you have a monomial, then basically what you'll do is you just treat it as you're using the distributive property. You have one thing outside the parentheses, so you distribute it to everything in the parentheses. So you multiply this 2x by the 3x squared, this 2x by the 5x, and this 2x by the 4, okay? So I'm going to write that out. That's going to be 2x times 3x squared plus 2x times 5x plus 2x times 4. And you'll multiply each of those and you'll combine like terms. So remember, when you have a monomial times a monomial, you multiply the two numbers. So you multiply 2 and 3, which is 6, and then you combine the exponent by adding the exponent. So you combine the variable by adding the exponents. And this is an x, which is just the x to the first power. So that'd be 1 plus 2, which is x to the third, all right? With the 2x times the 5x, you multiply the 2 and the 5, which is 10. And x times x, that's like saying x to the first times x to the first. You add those exponents, that's x to the second power, or we say x squared. And then 2x times 4 is 8x. And so your answer ends up being this 6x to the third plus 10x squared plus 8x. None of those terms are alike because they all have different exponents, so you can't simplify any further. That will be your final answer. Let's look at another example. Okay, for this second example, we're going to multiply x plus 3 times x plus 2. This is a binomial times a binomial. And you may have learned how to multiply these using the FOIL method, which means first, outer, inner, last. But I'm not going to encourage you to use that method because that only works when you multiply a binomial times a binomial, which is two terms times two terms. I'm going to teach you how to use the box method. The box method is a good method because it works regardless of how many terms you have, all right? So with the box method, what you do is you set up a box, and the number of columns will represent one term and the number of rows will represent the other term. Well, since I have two terms in both, I just need 2 columns and 2 rows. And I'm going to put one of the polynomials across the top and one of the polynomials on the side. So I have the x plus 3 across the top and the x plus 2 across the bottom. And now what I want to do is I want to multiply what's to the left and to the right of that box. So I want to multiply x times x. That's x to the first times x to the first, which means you add those exponents. That's x squared. I'm going to multiply x and 3 here. That's 3x. Here I'm going to multiply 2 and x, which is 2x. And here I'm going to multiply 2 and 3, which is 6. And so what that ends up giving me is x squared plus 3x plus 2x plus 6. And then if I have any like terms, I need to combine those. And I do have like terms. 3x and 2x are the like terms. 3x plus 2x is 5x. So I will combine those, and that ends up giving us x squared plus 5x plus 6. And that will be your answer. So that's how you will multiply a binomial times a binomial. Let's look at it for another example with bigger terms. All right, in this last example, we're going to multiply x squared plus 2x plus 1 times x plus 3. That is a trinomial times a binomial. And we're going to use the box method because remember, the box method works every time regardless of how many terms you have. So we're going to set up a box where one side needs to have 3 rows and the other side has to have 2 columns. So I'm going to set my box up like this. There's my 2 columns, and then I'm going to make it have 3 rows. And you can switch it vice versa. It doesn't matter. You get the same answer in the end. I'm going to put my x plus 3 across the top and the x squared plus 2x plus 1. All right. And again, it doesn't matter if I put the other one across the top and the other one across the side. You'll still get the same answer in the end. All right. And now I'm going to multiply my boxes. So here is x squared times x, which you add the exponents. That's x to the third. Here's x squared times 3. That's going to give you 3x squared. 2x times x, you add the exponents. That's x to the first and x to the first. That's going to give you 2x to the second, or 2x squared. 2x times 3 is going to give you 6x. 1 times x is going to give you x. And 1 times 3 is going to give you 3. All right. And if you was to write that out, that's going to give you x to the third plus 3x squared plus 2x squared plus 6x plus x plus 3. And all I'm doing is writing out everything that's on the inside of the box. And now I'm going to combine like terms. And my like terms are going to be the 3x squared and the 2x squared and the 6x and the x. So that's going to give me x to the third plus 5x squared plus 7x plus 3. All right. And that is how I would multiply that trinomial times that binomial. All right. So this is how you multiply polynomials. You can use, there are a variety of methods you can use, but I showed you how to use the box method because it's one of the ways that a lot of my students find to be easier, but use what works for you. And if you need some practice, there is a free course that I have that you can sign up for. You don't have to pay anything, and it will allow you to practice with me as we go through these videos. Just read the description on how to access those the free course. All right, if you have any questions whatsoever, don't hesitate to put them in the comments. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.